Orlando and Anaheim, candy and popcorn. You are now tuned into the Disneyholics show.
Hello and welcome to the Disneyholics show. That's Jen Diz.
And that's Mike TV.
Today we have an episode full of miscellany, everything from personal updates to movies and expos, plus a game all about Disney movie sequels. Oh boy, it's been a while since we've had a dedicated episode of miscellaneous goodies and topics, which we
Doesn't
call
it feel good?
miscellany. It's so good. Sometimes these things just add up and we're like, we got to talk about it, but they don't all necessarily fit. And we also have some personal updates today, which also explains why we're kind of all over the place lately, which is very exciting. We also plan to get back to our Patreon topic takeovers next week because we have a lot of fun ones that we're doing some research on. But yeah, so exciting news, right? Here it goes. So both you and I are going to be covering Disney from coast to coast officially next year. What does that
Yeah.
actually mean, Jen Diz?
Oh my goodness. The fact that this is happening at the same time for us is so hilarious and amazing. And I just love it. Mike and I are both moving to Orange County,
Woo! I love
but
that. I love it.
the catch is that we're not in the same Orange County, but we are both going to be in either Anaheim proper, where I'm moving, or Orlando proper, where Mike is moving. What?
Yay. That's the dream. That's the Disneyholics dream. I think when we started this podcast, what, 4 years ago? That's crazy every time I
Hmm.
say. We have been manifesting this
I think
because
so
it's
too.
it started with us like not even being able to go to the parks because it was
Right.
pandemic.
Right.
And we would pretend we're at the parks, we'd do virtual things. 4 years later, we can get to the parks in like 10, 15 minutes or less
Right.
and do fun things, bring content for Disneyholics listeners, fans, and audience, and then just enjoy the parks because that is our happy place. So we're going to be able to do that whenever we want. And it feels, I know it's a privilege, but it's very exciting and just fitting for us.
It is so fitting. And another quick personal announcement for me is I got a job finally. So yay.
Congrats. Woo.
Thank you. But part of the reason I wanted to share that was just because I had like, I've done like what it kind of feels like a little bit to be a local, but I think I had kind of the coolest first day at a new job ever. I worked my first day at this job and then went to Disneyland after and saw Fat Cat Swinger. Like,
That's amazing.
excuse me, like bow wrapped, everything so amazing. Christmas at Disneyland, like it was just such an amazing day. And that is now going to be my everyday life. Like, what?
Celebrations year round. And I know we like to keep some stuff private, but I just wanted to mention that your CEO slash boss is a huge Disneyholic, which is very cool.
Yes,
So
we
that's a
had
nice,
this like meeting where we were supposed to talk business and we ended up talking Disney for quite a lot of it. So
that is the best.
gotta love it. It's my people for sure. He's not the only one too. It's a lot of the company. And you start dipping your toes into the local area. For instance, I'm going to share some of your personal information since you shared some of mine.
Ah,
One of the places that we were looking at that I, tagged along and looked at with you to live, a lot of the people who live in that community are also Disney people.
yes. So we're gonna make some
So,
Disney friends.
yeah, we're now
Yeah.
going to live by people who get it instead of like living in these like islands of no knowledge about Disney. I mean, it's just going to be so different.
It really is. And like speaking of work, I practiced working remote from Epcot last time we were there, and it is completely doable. I'm shocked at how easy it is. And by doable, I mean first you need to have a job where you can work remote at least one day or more a week. and you're comfortable working like in a coffee shop environment. But if you check those two boxes, there's tons of places at Epcot where you can work at remote. You can even take meetings. I practice that too, and without disturbing people, because, for example, Connections Cafe is really a giant Starbucks in Epcot. So it is definitely the Starbucks vibe to be a little bit loud. Like, so there's some noise, but the technology now, like Zoom, takes it out. And then they have a whole co-working space, at least when it's nice weather, outside in Epcot, called the neighborhoods. And they have full-on power outlets and USB cords, and they encourage working there. I saw a lot of people with their laptops open. So I was like excited. I was like, all right, is this going to be the new future? I love it so much.
Yes, it is. I love it too.
So
You know
more
what?
to
We should
come on
have a
that. Yeah.
working remote from the parks day together
Oh,
too.
I would love it. I would love it.
We should.
If
That's pretty
anybody
cool.
wants to, I'll be there. That's my new office, Epcot. Um, and there's also tons of other places all around the property, like different resorts and hotels. If you can get into there, like Coronado Springs, I think you can just park at Coronado. I can't remember. Um, and then Disney Springs itself has places. So I'm going to explore all of that and report back so that our fellow remote workers can get some ideas too.
Right? Exciting.
Woo!
Woo!
So more to come 2025 as we start our journey to Orange County. I love that. We're both in Orange County. That's crazy.
Isn't that cool? And it's like at the beginning of the year, like neither of us are moving right at the beginning of the year, but like we're starting off 2025 with a big change. And
Yeah.
like that's when you're supposed to do the changes anyway. It just happened to land like that for both of us. So,
We love a fresh, clean start.
yes.
It's good.
Oh my God, it's great.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
So
All
cool.
right. So more miscellaneous news from us Disneyholics. We had Thanksgiving here in the US last week, right? It was last week? Yeah, last week. And it's a huge time for movies. And I've been somebody who's like following the industry because there was a time during pandemic where the news was saying all the movie theaters may forever close down and it's going to be a different experience going forward between streaming. Do you remember all of that during the pandemic? Like they
Oh yeah,
released
for sure.
movies in theaters and on Disney Plus and Max, whatever, all in the same day. Everyone was trying to figure it out. But I'm here to bring good news for us, which is the box office is stronger than ever. So this last Thanksgiving, the entire box office took in $422 million, which is the highest since 2018.
Oh, good.
So goodbye pandemic. Like they broke a record that's pre-pandemic, which is a huge deal.
That is a huge deal. We didn't even know in 2019 that anything was going wrong.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going about our days.
We
So
beat them
back in
out.
2018, can you guess which Disney movie was part of that package of movies that brought the box office up?
2018?
2018, yeah.
God, no.
It was actually it's cool because it's part of the theme of today anyways happens to be there's a lot of Disney versus Universal. And in 2018, the box office total was 315 million, and that was the premiere of Ralph Breaks the Internet, which
Oh,
was
okay. Wait,
Wreck-It
that was
Ralph
what,
2,
six
6
years
years
ago.
ago
That sounds
now.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was another sequel, Fantastic Beasts sequel from the Harry Potter franchise.
Oh,
So that brought up to 315, which was a record at the time. And then, as I mentioned, it was just broken last week by, can you guess what three movies were so huge last week?
three that
Three.
launched last week.
Yeah,
Okay.
around.
No one cannot answer this question that Wicked came out. We all know Wicked came out.
Yeah. Woo.
Moana 2 came out, and I had completely forgotten it was coming out for Thanksgiving. And then no idea what the other one is.
Gladiator 2, which I've never seen Gladiator 1, but that was a
I haven't seen
huge
it
hit.
either. How
Yeah.
weird.
It was huge at the time. I remember like everyone talking about it. I just never,
Right. I did not know they were making a sequel.
it didn't tickle my fancy. This one has Paul Mescal, if I'm saying his name right. And I really like him as an actor. So I need to first watch part one to understand it, and then I'll probably miss part two in the theaters and won't contribute to this box office record. But hey, I will contribute to the streaming record if they are looking at that. Um, so Moana 2, you said you forgot about it. Nobody else seemed to forget about it.
Guess not.
Um, I couldn't figure out how and when to watch it, so I haven't seen it either, which I'm surprised at myself because Moana is one of my favorite of the Disney. But I think there's a couple reasons that I want to talk about that made me a little bit less enthusiastic about trying to get there right away in the
Okay.
theaters. So the first was I'm currently just obsessed with Wicked. It is so good. Have you seen it yet?
No.
Okay. It is I don't even know where to start. Wicked is one of those movie musicals that comes along just every now and then and reminds you why movies exist, like the moving picture, like Singing in the Rain, La La Land, all of the Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz music. It's just like colorful, and most of the storytelling is through really great songwriting and lyrics, which have been on Broadway for like 20 years, proven. Um, the casting is just spot on, goosebumps throughout the whole time. And I've talked to people who have not seen the musical and they are just blown away. I've seen people who don't even like movie musicals and were dragged along, blown away. And then for those of us who are fans of the musical, blown away. I just can't. I just can't. It's so good. So just kudos to John M. Chu, who's the director, and everybody involved. We had Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo. Woo, it's so good. Jonathan Bailey. I watched it
Nice.
twice. I hope to watch it 10 more times. Well, it's in
I think
while
I
it's
am
in theaters specifically.
I think I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of Ariana Grande because I don't think I could name a single Ariana Grande song. However, she's a nerd.
Such a nerd.
Like she's
Love her.
such a nerd in real
Disney
life.
fan, Tower of Terror
Yeah.
aficionado.
Star Wars, she's a big Star
Star
Wars nut.
Wars.
Like she's one of
Yeah.
us in a way.
She
And
is
I
one
kind
of
of
us.
love her.
And
And she's a great performer.
she manifests stuff. So when she was like, maybe it's like 10, 12 years ago, she was talking about her dream to play one of the witches in Wicked.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
here she is, and she trained for like 3 years for this, and trained just for the audition. She takes her craft so seriously. Some of her scenes are like, I mean, Wicked is sort of, it's a musical, but it's also like a little bit of an opera. And so she hits these notes that I'm just like, what the hell? And they filmed it all live on stage, so all of the singing from the main principal characters were filmed as they were doing it. And
What?
yeah, a lot of times they dub it and put it in after.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because of the movements and stuff are
Yeah.
usually,
There's a
wow.
lot of great behind the scenes about how the director John M. Chu figured out how to do this. And it was, like you said, it's very complicated. And they wanted to make sure they did it to pay respect to the performers who do it 8 times a week, either on Broadway or on tour.
Right.
So they're like, our actors are going to do the same.
Okay.
And
All right.
it paid off. Like you could tell the emotions are there. It matches their face when they're singing. Oh my god, amazing, amazing, amazing. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And if you are near a Universal theme park, I think it's both coasts, for sure Orlando. Universal has opened a Wicked experience, which is a bunch of things like photo ops, merch, food and beverages, and just like a beautiful immersive experience. So kind of hinting at, if the second half of this film, which it is two parts, if it does well, we might see Oz at Universal Parks one day, which would be great because that's a classic
Ooh.
land, even regardless of Wicked. It's been
Right.
around for so long.
Yep.
Yeah. But back to
Very cool.
Moana 2 and why I'm less enthusiastic. So Wicked is taking at my brain. But also, we follow the news enough that we knew that Moana 2 was originally meant to be a Disney Plus streaming series comprised of like 8 episodes or so. And then Bob Iger announced, "Oh, I saw the animation in it was so good, we're going to bring it into the movie theaters and condense it into one good story. So that's what their plan was. And I wish I didn't know about that because that's always going to be in the back of my mind trying to
I had already
figure out.
forgotten
Whoops, there you
per
go.
per the usual.
Per the usual. So reviews from Moana 2, I would say are okay. It's still fresh on Rotten Tomatoes if that's something that you look at. It's like about 67%, but that's as low as you can get before you get
Yeah, it's not very
the
good.
green splat. And it sounds like critics, meaning people who are following along with the news, they can tell that these were episodes because there's just like one adventure after another that she has to
Oh,
you know,
shoot.
she has to get through. So there's that, which is I know is going to bother me. But the other part is Lin Manuel Miranda. They didn't bring him back to do the music because this
I
was
did
supposed to
hear
be
that.
direct to streaming. Yeah, so I'm kind of worried about how the music is just going to not match the first one. But all that said, the fan reaction, just the general Disney fan, Moana fan especially, they love it. They said it's a great movie.
What
It
is the
has
fan thing on Rotten
the
Tomatoes?
audience score now is like I think 89%.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
so for the casual Disney movie goer, I think people will love it. And like we said earlier, it helped break records. So if Moana 2 itself, other than the Thanksgiving weekend box office, Moana broke tons of records. It is the biggest 5-day movie debut in history.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what does that mean?
So 5-day debuts are usually weekends that are long weekends or holiday weekends. So this one,
Oh,
Thursday,
okay.
Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And the previous record was only created last year in 2023 by the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Mm.
And even though that's not technically owned by Universal, Universal owns the theme park rights. So here we go again with the back and forth. And I'm beginning to think they're just all in cahoots. I think Disney and Comcast, Bob Iger and whoever's at Comcast, I think they actually talk and they work these things out. And it's in the best interest of the fans, especially the theme parks in Orlando. Like we all win when they compete.
It's true.
So so good for them. But yeah, so Moana is the biggest 5-day debut in history. It earned 139.7 million over just the 3-day weekend if you look at Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it is now considered Walt Disney Animation's best opening weekend ever,
Wow.
even surpassing Frozen 2 at 130 million.
Does that
So,
count though if Frozen, if those weren't on these long weekends?
yes, because this one is just comparing the traditional weekend debut.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So if anything, it could eat out of it because some people already saw it Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah.
Ah,
But I'm not sure. I think Frozen might have come out on a holiday weekend too, but this comparison is meant to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
okay.
Um, and what I thought was interesting there is they're both Disney sequels of beloved Disney movies.
Right.
And
True.
and, and in the modern age, like past Renaissance. So fascinating. So we haven't seen Moana 2, so there's not much we can contribute to the review conversation, but we will eventually, I'm sure. I do eventually want to watch it. Um,
I can say one thing that it did prove to us, which I think we already know, but it proved that all of these series that are coming out now are just good enough to be in the movie theater.
yeah, it's true. Like when we watch the Star Wars ones too, we're like, wow, we'd rather watch this in the movie theater. Um, so yeah, even some of the Marvel stuff. So it's an interesting time post-pandemic, new box office, new streaming strategies. It's a fun time for entertainment and especially for Disneyholics to follow
Yes.
along. And there was something else I was going to say about Moana 2 that I can't remember right now. Anyways, but if it comes to me, I'll say it. What else? Movie theater wise. Oh, I was going to ask you if you remember. Oh, this is what it was. Okay. So this is a bad sign for people who are tired of sequels.
Okay.
we're gonna keep getting sequels because it not only are they breaking records, but
They're
they're
doing a
breaking
really good job and
previous
they're
records.
way
Yep.
easier to do.
And it shows when you make if you at least start with one good original movie, the sequels will make more than the original one because
Ouch.
it turns out Moana was one of the most highest streaming movies on Disney Plus over the last couple of years, which must have contributed to why they were like, oh shit, let's just put this in theaters then.
Right.
So between Moana 1 and Moana 2, you've gained all these viewers and fans that are now excited for more Moana. So we're going to keep seeing sequels. And as long as they're good, that's fine. But we'll be the judge once we see Moana 2. I really liked Frozen 2. I liked Ralph Breaks the Internet. That was pretty good. But do you remember last Thanksgiving, which was one of the worst box office Thanksgiving weekends, and
Oh,
one of the worst for Disney specifically. And you and I were together for it.
we were together last Thanksgiving.
Around the time for the movie
Oh,
to see the movie
oh shoot. What did, yes, we went and saw said movie in the movie theater together.
in Times Square,
What
even.
was it?
We were so excited. We're like, oh,
Oh my
finally, original
gosh.
movie. Disney's
There
back.
was a D23 event for it too.
We're celebrating Disney 100. It's going to be the biggest movie
Oh,
ever.
stupid wish. Yeah, I completely forgot about it. I even have the
Yikes.
giant, like, hold on, let me grab it.
That's
I have
so
the giant
sad.
pillow sitting right next to me,
Oh, the little star.
and I still couldn't even remember it.
Star. I look
It's
at
right
it.
here staring me in the face, and now all of you on YouTube.
It's very cute. I'm looking at it, and I wouldn't even have remembered it's from a Disney movie. It's like Sanrio or something.
Yeah, yeah,
It's still very cute, but the star doesn't make me think of Disney. How sad. Disney wish we had so many hopes and dreams
we
for
did.
it.
This is like the same moment where they when they decided to make Moana 2 without Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's like they decided to make a Disney 100 movie, just a new idea instead of
Yeah.
like coming up with a new like epic Disney movie.
Yeah. And bringing
Get
back
out
like
of
the
here, Star.
classic composers and stuff. Jeez Louise. So I guess we're happy now because the box office is up. I'm sure Disney's happy. And when Disney company and shareholders are happy, we get a lot of cool things,
That's
especially at the
true.
parks. So congrats to all of them. Speaking of movie theaters, I thought it would be fun to just kind of quickly share thoughts and also armchair Imagineer what movie theaters should evolve into, knowing everything we just talked about and what people are excited about.
Wait, can
So,
I backtrack
oh
half a
yeah, yeah,
second?
yeah.
Are we, am I, this is so bad that I don't know this off the top of my head. Are we getting a Moana attraction anymore?
No.
No.
So we have the walkthrough at Epcot, and
That's it.
then there
Yeah. Okay.
currently is nothing
Animal Kingdom is
slated.
now Encanto and Indiana Jones and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like this is actually really good for them that worked out for that. Just kidding. That's why I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening anymore. Whoops.
Whoops. Now they just have to keep promoting the water experience, which is way better than I expected. I talked a lot of crap before it, and it's a cute little addition to Epcot. But to your point,
Exactly.
a Moana e-ticket would be a nice icing on the cake for Moana 2
Yeah.
coming out. And I wouldn't be surprised if they either change some of what they've announced because of that, or announce something else Moana coming somewhere, even if not
Right.
the US park somewhere. Because it
Okay.
was a
Sorry. Back to
global
armchair
phenomenon.
imagineering.
Armchair
My bad.
Imagineering, movie theaters. So movie theaters need to keep figuring out how to get people to keep coming back. Like, don't get excited just because you had this one weekend. And also, the way movie theaters traditionally have been making money is through concessions, which is why we all complain and joke at how expensive a
The
freaking
$47
soda
popcorn
popcorn.
and
Yeah. Because they're not really getting a cut of the movie tickets at all, if any, just a small percentage, because they're just exhibitors for these companies and these studios who are playing their films there. So
I have
for
thought about the per seat cost because movie theaters when we were younger had like what, like 10 times the amount of seats at least. that
Yeah.
they do now, right? They have converted to those like recliner chairs with the heaters and all sorts of things going on, which I'm not complaining about, but like, man, they don't have space for people. But when you think about it, like the only time you need that space is like an opening day weekend for a big ass movie.
Yeah.
Other than that, like the empty, all the seats are empty. So,
Yeah, you can usually get a seat once opening weekend is over of a big
right.
movie. It's easy to get a seat. So, um, but I do think that's an important part of the future of movies, even though it's already been happening, is the seating. It is so much more comfortable. Anytime I try to drag someone to a movie theater, the first thing they ask me is it one of those leather seats? I'm like, yes, I picked out a nice movie theater. Don't worry, got us good seats. The reservation system that came out, what, maybe 10 years ago or more at this point, when it became widely used at the big chains, that was a game changer for me because I no longer had to plan my entire day around sitting on the floor for an hour to get a good seat. Which, it does lose some of the magic, like hanging out with fans and waiting. But the stress of getting a good seat, I'm happily giving that up. So it's been nice to reserve your seat, and it kind of pays off for people who really jump on the advanced ticket sales. Just like a concert, you can get the seat you want.
Right.
Now, a trend that I've been seeing over the last couple of years, particularly starting with Dune, when Dune came out in theaters, are the popcorn buckets.
Oh,
So
right.
the movie theaters are catching on to Disney and how to make money off of something someone was already going to buy, probably. And at the movie theaters, they're already going to buy popcorn. So why not upsell them on this very unique, limited edition, very cool popcorn bucket? And these things are not cheap. So think about what I was saying earlier about the money that the movie theaters are raking in. This is now a whole new revenue stream for them, are these popcorn buckets. So I expect to see more and more coming, and they're always getting really fun. Like Deadpool and Wolverine had a really fun one where it was Wolverine's mouth, I think, and you're putting your fist in it to get your popcorn. Um, Wicked has some amazing ones depending on the movie theater chain. There's like a hot air balloon one. There's all kinds of things. And the other part too is if you're a collector, it reminds me of the excitement I get from collecting toys at like McDonald's or Burger King, because different chains have different designs. So you might go to AMC and they'll have this one, but you can go to Cinemark or somewhere else and they'll have a different special uh, thing that you could buy for the big movie. So I see them doing a lot more of that. It only makes sense. I'm now seeing cups being sold in addition to the popcorn buckets, and people love to collect a cup and they'll pay $20 for it,
Yeah.
which is only like $10 more than the soda. So you might as well, right? Instead of getting the cardboard cup. Um, so there's that. Any thoughts on popcorn buckets and them kind of taking the Disney route on that?
I'm actually in my head thinking like I want to do an episode where I research the history of popcorn buckets. Was Disney
Ooh,
the first person to go down that road? I bet it wasn't, but I want to know.
right.
Or
Probably,
maybe it was, who knows?
probably not, but I
Um,
think they're the first to have a fan base that is willing to line up and it's Black Friday basically. Anytime there's a popcorn bucket
yeah.
out, people are sort of pulling it from each other's hands, and it's pandemonium. So I think that's where Disney like really made it a big deal. Because I remember when we were teenagers, the most I would see, I think, were like souvenir cups at Six Flags that had like Batman on it or something. And even I wanted that. So I can't imagine having these better designs now.
Did you buy a Wicked popcorn bucket?
I did not. They were not
Mm.
offering it at Cinepolis,
Oh,
yeah, where I watched
would you
it.
have if there was?
I would have. Now, here's the
Okay.
thing. Here's my rant on this. And I think it might be similar to Disney's popcorn buckets release strategy. So the movie theater I went to watch the first time I watched Wicked, which was in Orlando, it was a Amazon Prime early screening. Um, from what I was told and hearing from the other viewers was that they had sold out like weeks ago. So I'm like, what does that mean? So I'm not even, there's a whole community already on top of these movie theater popcorn buckets. And I think you can go to the theater and just buy it. before the movie is even out.
I was gonna say I can't remember what it was, but I remember one of the Disney ones was in the theater before the movie, maybe Haunted Mansion or something.
Oh, could be, yeah.
And I was like, why are they even selling those already? But because they can.
Because they
That's why.
can. Yep. And so that stresses me out. And it reminds me of like when Disney caught on to people loving the popcorn buckets. Like now there's like virtual queue for like the
Mm.
figment bucket. I don't know. That kind of ruins it. I like to be able to just go up to the box office or to the cart and get it. But
I
I
don't know. That
understand
sounds like
why.
the old movie ticket situation of
Oops. Yep. And then you'll be disappointed because it'll be sold out anyway. So,
your advanced concert screening. Like,
oh, you know what? I think you're onto something. Back when I lived in New York and used to go to Alamo a lot. By the way, Alamo had for a while had always good stuff because they work with this design company called Mondo. So they always had really unique things, but you could purchase it when you're buying your tickets on the app. It would say, "Would you like to purchase the Avengers Glass now?" And then you would pick
that's
it up
smart.
at when you
Yep.
went to watch it. Yeah. So it could have been something like that, and I just wasn't following or using Fandango or the right app. But I need to get on it because if they keep doing this, I want all of it. Um, and then besides popcorn buckets, I think something that would really help movie theaters stay in business is just more merchandise in general. Just more,
Right.
do more, and make the studios pay for some of the setup. So we're talking about the Wicked immersive experience at like City Walk at Universal. Imagine that at every AMC theater, a small version, a pop-up. And there's photo ops and there's clothing, like everything, lounge fly, all the things that we like as Disneyholics, but for that movie. For Moana, they could do it for Deadpool and Wolverine. And I don't want to sound dumb because there could be theaters that have tried this before, but it's more so like this needs to be how it is and what I expect going into the movie theaters, that I get to do this whole thing. And if I love the movie, I'm going to spend a lot of money after and buy all the things.
I was just thinking what in my brain, of course, goes to escape rooms when I think of immersive experiences. What if they like dedicated a movie theater to these rotating experiences, whether it be a walkthrough or a photo? Like, remember they used to have those Instagram walkthrough places where you could just take really cool photos,
Yeah.
or an escape room or any of that stuff. They could just like keep rotating them out depending on the movie coming out.
Ooh, that's
Hmm.
good because some of these movie theaters are so huge when they first opened, like in the 90s, 2000s, that they must have extra space that they can transition some of those smaller auditoriums into escape
Right.
rooms.
I wonder,
Ooh.
like, okay, so my first thought about like merch and stuff. Um, I personally hate buying merch for something that I do not know yet. I
Yeah.
know lots of people buy it ahead of time. They'll like just like start wearing t-shirts for a movie that has never come out yet. I'm like, what if you don't like it? You don't even know if you like it yet. So I'm in the bucket of people who has to watch it first. But I also am in the bucket of people who, once the movie is over, I'm out the door. So there's got to be
Really?
some, yeah, like I don't like hang out in the movie theater afterwards. Do you?
If there, I think it goes to the whole thing. If there was something, like think of exit through the gift shop, and I'm on a
Yeah,
high.
that's what I was gonna say. There's
Yeah,
got to be some way to walk you into some kind of continual like
yeah.
experience or something that can like get you excited or
And that's such
I
a
don't
good
know.
point because there people come a little bit early now, even with the advanced tickets, but they have never really tried to keep you there.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing. It's just like you
Yeah,
walk out the door. And I'm usually like either super excited to talk about the movie, which could be an interesting way for them to bring that into play somehow. How can they get groups of people to like pause and talk about it while they're there versus, oops, I just hit my microphone, sorry. Um, versus just like taking off and doing it over dinner or something.
yeah.
Or what if they include like a restaurant that has those things on the menu? Like now you have a special dinner that's Wicked themed or something like, ooh, my
Ooh,
gosh. Okay, I think that would actually be really good. Dinner and a movie always go together.
yeah.
That's my armchair imagineering.
And then like go over the top for movie fans. Imagine in that dining bar lounge that you mentioned, there is a spoiler area. Would you like to sit in the spoiler area or the non-spoiler area? And that's where you can talk about stuff because
Oh, right.
I'm always pretty quiet because I feel I don't want to spoil something if it's like a
Yeah.
Deadpool movie. So I'm kind of quiet and I'm like waiting to get out of the theater so I could talk to the person about it in
That's
private.
also how escape rooms are. You can't talk
I
about it
don't
in the
want to talk
lobby.
about it. And to the point where I'm such a loser, like if I'm going to the movies by myself for opening weekend and it's something spoilerific, like a Marvel movie, I will plug my ears with my fingers and walk by the people who are leaving the theater because I just don't trust them and they're probably excited and I don't think they're doing anything wrong, but I'm like,
Yeah.
ah, don't tell me. Um, but yeah, and I now that I'm mentioning Alamo, I want to say they've been doing that pretty well, so they should follow other theaters should follow their lead. The Whenever I left Alamo specifically, I did shop the merchandise section. Now, what's interesting is it wasn't specific to the movie at all, but I always wanted to see what they had. They had a little shop after you exit down the escalator that was for movie fans. So they would always
Okay.
change out the merch. So it'd be like the Shining t-shirt. It would be like classic movies. They
I
had like
like that too. I haven't seen that
uh,
yet. If they had like a dedicated space for it, I'm thinking of like AMC where they have like a rack of t-shirts as you're going through the popcorn area, and that's it. You know what I mean? So like
oh
once I'm done
yeah.
with the movie, I'm out. So I like that idea. I
Yeah,
like
it
that a
has to
lot.
be after while I'm on the high, still
Yeah,
thinking about the movie. I will just pay for it. It's like if you when you get off of Guardians of the Galaxy and you don't have merch yet, you might want to stop at the store and
right.
see what they have. Um, so we talked about escape rooms, more immersive things. Anything else you think movie theaters could do to stay in
Huh.
business?
I really like the idea of like creating more packages when you buy your tickets. Like
Yeah,
I think there's a key to that. If you feel that you're getting a discount on a package altogether, people will usually look into that. Um, and if that comes with a t-shirt or a popcorn bucket or a whatever it is, that's merchandise, that's an
yeah,
upsell every single time for the movie theater and maybe cut down their ticket price by a few bucks or something. And then it feels like a deal and they get merchandise, which they want anyway. And
yeah,
the theater comes out with more merchandise sales. So I think packages could be really smart.
yeah.
Um,
You're
what
already checking
else?
out on the thing. Um, I
They
just
should put
remembered.
it on the ads too before the movie.
Ooh, I was thinking that they did movie theaters. Everything in my mind was Disney first, whether it was not or whether it was or not, whatever. We're Disneyholics. But when mobile ordering became a thing at the movie theaters to get your concessions,
Uh-huh.
that was a game changer.
Yep.
And you could even do it sometimes through checkout when you're getting your tickets. So that's another thing. Like more conveniences like that, I think will get people to buy more stuff.
Yeah, it just shows up at your seat. Like, are you serious?
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I don't have it at my seat. Sometimes I have to still pick it up at the like kiosk.
Ours has both options. You can do either way.
Ooh. Well, this is why I can't wait to move to Orlando and get back to some of the US chains and see what they've been up to and what I've been missing. Funny enough, the movie theater chain that I've been going to in Guadalajara is called Cinépolis. And there's a separate one called Cinépolis VIP, which is the one that's more of like the dine in with all the fancy stuff. And apparently it's now getting worldwide. And there's a Cinépolis they just built next to where I'm going to be living in Orlando.
I
So
did not know that that was the one by your current place. That's
it's
hilarious.
crazy. I thought it was just a Mexico thing, but apparently not. But yeah,
Hilarious.
they're a really good brand, and I've been liking the experiences there. One last thing I would think of is they should continue with bringing classic movies back at regular price, or at least to make money off of it. Because I think when they screen those movies, they actually get more of the ticket than they do of a first run movie.
Right.
So like the Goonies and things that people love, and then on top of it, do the merch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially for those throwbacks.
Right? You already know
Um,
you love the movie, so you're gonna buy it.
the theaters here are really good at that. They have like throwback nights. They have Studio Ghibli weeks where they just play all the Ghibli
Ooh,
films. Um, lots of stuff. Those like classics, and they should have like a Disney Vault night. That'd be hilarious.
That would be fun.
Um, yeah, but they actually are really good at bringing back those things. And director's cut. Oh my God, they have so many special events. I like want to dive more into movie theaters actually. One of the special events they have is like it's like a ripoff of the Mystery Science Theater. I can't remember what the new
Oh,
one
with the
is.
commentary.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
have like the comedians commentating on the movie.
Oh,
Like it's
that's
usually
funny.
some like Evil Dead was the one I went and watched, for instance. It's like hilarious. Older film. So they do that. They have like trivia nights that go along with the movies that you're watching. Just interactive stuff that can get you back in the theater on a night that you might just rather stay home. But now it's like, oh, this like cool thing that I 100% identify and is nostalgic for me. I can go to the movies and watch again. Like,
Yeah.
oh, another thing when they hit like an anniversary, they bring it back. Like my two favorite movies are Amelie and Old Boy, and they're both foreign films, which I believe at the time were not really hitting the mainstream theaters yet. Like nowadays, you'll have foreign films in the mainstream theaters, which is great. But back then, it's like 20 years old. Not really. So I got to see both of those in the movie theater now because it came back, which was so cool.
Nice.
And then they add on like a little piece at the end or the beginning or both that where they interview the director about the film and stuff. So like that kind of stuff. Alamo is also really good at doing that.
Really good.
They have like the
They have good
best
themes.
preview ever, right? Like or that whatever you want to call it before the previews,
Oh,
that
the
whole
pre-show of Alamo is the best ever.
yes.
They are 1000% losing ad revenue, but they decided to do it anyways instead of playing commercials, and I commend them for it. Perhaps that's what got them to think of doing things like the merchandise store and all that. Um, I would say if the mainstream theaters, the big chains could get rid of the ads, please do. I will pay for an ad-free experience, just like on streaming at this point.
I'm trying to remember what ads that we're
So
watching.
I like to sit in my seat at least, I would say at least, but no more than 15 minutes before the show time. It used to be like an hour back in the day. 15 minutes. And usually until the showtime, it's ads. It'll be, depending on the chain, it'll be ads about their own stuff, or it'll be NBC showing their TVs behind the scenes. It'll be Mario
Oh, yeah, you're
Lopez
right. I have seen some of that
extra.
stuff.
Sometimes it's just full on commercials, like car commercials. And then when the movie itself starts, the showtime, then you see the trailers. I love trailers, so keep
I
the
love trailers
trailers.
too.
They're good. Even if I've seen them before, I it's part of
Yeah.
the thing. It's like the lead up, the hype up to the
And it's
feature
always cool
film.
because they're always a little different depending on the style of movie you're watching.
Yeah, yeah. Like if rated R, you might get some good scary movies
Yeah,
trailers that you wouldn't see when you're watching Moana 2.
right.
um, yeah, so commercial free would be good for the pre-show, but of course they need that's money. They're getting paid. All right. Speaking of movies, we have more movie news, including some of the fun things we've been talking about over the last couple of years with IP, aka intellectual property that is owned by companies like Disney that goes into the public domain and what happens when that occurs.
Yeah, so if you guys remember, we talked about Steamboat Willie entering the public domain. So that means that anyone can use anything from Steamboat Willie, including Mickey Mouse, as Steamboat Willie. So it has to be that entity only. But now they can just freely use it as they like in any type of art or film or anything. So we'd seen a bunch of like kind of I would say like low budget options start like hitting the, rumor mill and whatnot. But just the other day, like just the other day, I was just like bored and looking through Amazon Prime and I saw the mouse trap and it was like a picture of like this half face of a scary Mickey Mouse. I'm like, what the heck? Is that one of those ones? And I turned it on and it was. And so it's fully done and just like out in the wild now, which was so weird for
What?
me to see.
So I could just go watch it tonight
You
if
can
I
just
wanted
watch it
to.
on Amazon Prime right now. It's free.
Creepy.
And it's a horror film about it's like I didn't get through the whole thing, I will be honest, it is not that great. Um, but it starts off that they're in this like arcade and these girls are working. They're like in college and working this like arcade, like Dave and Buster's kind of place. And then Steamboat Willie comes in and starts killing everybody. So it's the whole thing, but they
Wait,
like
like as a
literally show
costume?
the
Like
film in it.
what is it?
It looks
What
like there's a head of like a costume of Steamboat Willie that some guy like it was calling to him,
Oh,
and he like put it on
creepy.
and it took over his body and he started killing people is what it looks
Ew.
like. I haven't finished it, so I can't
Yeah.
promise that is exactly what it was.
I also didn't know, the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, which there's two now. I haven't watched either, and I don't know if they're people in costumes or supposed to be
I
the
know I need to watch
actual.
that too. I need to just have like a weird Disney horror day that all this stuff is coming out.
It is
Um,
unsettling to think it's the actual creature.
there's a part
Ugh.
in it where the guy sits in a screening room and he's playing actual Steamboat Willie on the screen
Wow, they
with
went
the
there.
song and everything. And I'm just like, this is so weird. Like, it was weird for me. Like, honestly, like just seeing it fully ripped off, but I guess it's not ripped off because it's free now. Um, very weird. So I wanted to shout that out that that's out now. And then when, like, just recently, I have seen these rumors coming out about this movie called Screamboat. So we did not talk about this. I think this has just been more announced recently. Um, it is a silhouette of Steamboat Willie, and he's like on a dock, and it looks like another Steamboat Willie horror film because that's what people do
Ooh.
when there's happy, cute things and it becomes free domain is they rip it apart and
Rip
make
it
it evil.
apart.
So we've got another one coming out, but this one is by the director of Terrifier 2. So like
Wow.
it has an actual like kind of higher level name behind it. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see
And they're
what
really
that's
good
going to
at
be
the
like.
visual effects, practical visual effects, and gore. And they're like
Yes.
huge fans of that stuff. So even if the story isn't good, I'd probably watch Screamboat just to see like the
Right.
craziness.
I am definitely, my curiosity is piqued for sure.
Love the name.
Yeah, Screamboat. And then also with that, there was rumors that there's going to be an escape room of this. So I'm definitely bought
What?
in.
What? That's so random and like double the fun. I wish
Right.
they would do. Ooh, that's too scary. I was
They're
gonna say
buying into our ideas we just came up with,
all
that
of
they're
our
like, we need
ideas.
this to go along with this movie.
A Terrifier room would be so scary now that I'm thinking about it. So if this Screamboat is on that level, it could be really
Right.
horrifying. Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
So
I just thought
that's
I'd share that because we did cover that already. And now it is literally there. Like
nice.
it's real now.
Yeah. And
So
every
weird.
every year, the clock keeps ticking, more and more of these properties will
For
go into
sure.
public domain. Like
Yep.
eventually the classic Mickey will go, eventually Minnie Mouse and all these ones.
I'm just wondering, like, how long it goes before Disney figures out another loophole to extend a copyright.
Right? Yeah. I'm sure they have an entire team working on this that probably
Right.
had to watch Mousetrap
Exactly.
as part of their research. Along the lines of public domain, actually, this is my next miscellany topic is full on copyright infringement.
Infringement.
So it's not public domain, but that's what you get to do when you're in other countries where Disney doesn't feel like enforcing their stuff. So I'm currently in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which over the last like 20 years or so has become sort of like the gay Cancun. Everybody can go here, everyone's welcome, but there's very much it's very much a gay destination. And you'll see queens walking around everywhere, and it's so fun. So I feel like both comfortable and safe here. I'm on a solo trip, but they really cater to not only the gay audience, but people who like stuff like drag shows and performance art. And so almost every night, including Monday, there is a drag show that you could watch. So I'm overwhelmed. I'm also by
Oh,
myself, so I'm only like picking and choosing which ones I
dang
want
it.
to
Why
go
was we
to.
not invited on this trip?
Right? Oh my God, there are so many that you would just die. But the one I went to yesterday was not a drag show. It was a strip show slash
Burlesque.
burlesque. Um, and it's put on by this company, this dance company. They're called Boys on Fire. Hello, hello, hello.
This
And
boy is on fire.
And
Had
so
to.
this one was called Superheroes. And they sold me as soon as I saw the banner on one of the streets. I wasn't even looking for a show last night, but I saw the banner and it had Spider-Man, Captain America, even had DC characters, Superman, Batman on it
I
with
have to go.
sexy men. Yep. And I'm like, what? And it's tonight? Like, what? Like, this is something I would have to look for and talk about and plan for. And I just got to go straight to it. It was only about like $25 to get in. Had a really great seat front row. And it was so funny and good that I wish Disney could lighten up a bit and do more of this for adults at wherever at the parks or on tour. I know they never will because, the family
I
audience would
mean,
complain.
they came out with Deadpool.
True. That is very true.
That
They are
could
in
be a start of that.
rated R territory, especially if it's not like Disney,
Right.
like
Like
Mickey
the Star
Mouse and
Wars
stuff.
burlesque show that I went to. Same.
Yeah.
I came out of that with the exact same feeling. Like, this is so cool and fun that I wish it could be official.
Yeah.
But actually, they did
But
a great job
that's a
without being
good
official.
point. That's a good point of how you can get away with it in the US is parody. I think that's what the
Hmm.
burlesque is. It's just like a parody or something.
Right.
So you can legally do it. Aha, we love our loopholes.
Yep.
But here in Mexico, this was not parody. It was pure copyright infringement to the point where before each character came on stage, they played clips of the movie.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, that they're from. They even had the Boys on Fire logo was the whole Marvel fanfare, the red with the silver blocks. It was there. So it was full on Marvel. And they did have some DC characters in it. And what I was excited about was the host and the producer. Um, I forgot his name, but he is a nerd. So I could tell they
Aw.
had this gay, nerdy adult man produce this show. So he was saying things that not many people understood in the audience, but I did, like a loser, and
Love
I was in the
it.
front, like waving. But he would say things like, okay, next up, can you guess? And he would say, like, originally from Queens, New York, and da 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 da. And I knew it was Spider-Man, so I did like the hand thing, and then he took it to another level. Mind you, this is 18 and over place. And he was insinuating that Spider-Man is shooting something else, white and stringy, which is just so funny. Again, I was just like shocked that you could do this or that they did do this. Not that you can, that they did anyways. And but yeah, it was fun. It was sexy. There was a scene where, oh my goodness, NSFW. So Robin from DC, Batman and Robin. Robin was tied up to a chair, and the Joker came out. And it's funny because the Joker wasn't like this character wasn't attempting to be sexy at all, even though it was one of the dancers, I think, in the costume, because he had a mask on and he just looked like the
Uh-huh.
Joker and it was kind of scary. But he kidnapped Robin, blah, blah, blah. And then Batman comes in, the searchlight went on, everyone's like screaming and cheering. He comes down from the ceiling, and then they both fight Joker, and the background screens were doing those like old pow, bam,
Oh, cute.
colorful. And then they killed the Joker, or they got rid of him or whatever. And then they all of a sudden realized that they loved each other, and so it got
Oh.
real steamy. Batman and Robin stripping off the clothes, doing all the things, but they're also professional dancers, so it was giving like Las Vegas acrobatics, like those really good things where they lie in each other's back and spin upside down and doing
Oh,
the
right.
splits and all that. They had Black Panther come out on ribbons, like Pink. She loves to do those ribbon performances. So he was doing these really scary, thrilling stunts on the ribbons, climbing up, climbing down. Yes, while stripping off his Wakandan costume. Uh, we even had, oh, this was probably my favorite, was Deadpool and Wolverine. So they finally had their moment that they almost had in the car scene in the movie. There was some sexual tension there in the movie. Also, Deadpool always like kept hinting about things because he's pansexual and kept hinting that he was kind of attracted to Wolverine, also to Captain America / Human Torch. But they went full out on this in this show, and Wolverine did a ropes thing. It was sort of like the ribbons, but it was a rope. And this guy was actually from Australia. They talked about how they cast somebody that looks like Hugh Jackman, and he totally did. He had the
Hilarious.
beard and everything, and the body yada yada. And then Deadpool was doing silly stuff. He did a performance to Bye 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 in sync, and then they started taking everything off, and they had just like full on steamy, but also like over dramatic, funny,
Right.
romantic strip scene moments.
Performance stripping.
performance performance tripping, and it was so good. Gosh, they had all the characters. They had the sex men
The
instead of
sex
instead
man,
of the
that's
X-Men. Yeah.
hilarious.
And it was Cyclops and then just two other generic superheroes. They actually weren't anybody specific. They just had the X buckle on. But they did a lot of like choreography because there was multiple people in that one. Superman had this giant red cape that was oversized uh, to the point where it was part of his performance. Like it was so
Oh, cool.
beautiful. It was really well done. And yeah, I think I'm happy that this company took a risk and just did it. And then they also were fans and they weren't just capitalizing on the superhero craze. Like this, they knew exactly what the characters would be doing if they were put in these situations.
I love that.
So yeah, it was really, really fun. So if you're ever down in Puerto Vallarta over the next, I think they call them seasons. So this one will be showing or performing a few times over the next season, which I think goes through March.
Oh my
So there you go. Yeah.
gosh. I
So
want to see it.
it was like my gay wet dream come true. Like what?
Right?
How?
That's why I was laughing.
What?
I'm like, how'd you just walk up on that day of? It's like
Yeah.
literally perfect.
It's so good. So good. All right. So miscellany, we have other topics. There are other events on the horizon
Yeah,
that
one
are
of them,
non-sexy.
no, yeah, this one's not as sexy. This is one that D23 just recently announced is coming in 2025. No idea yet when, but keep your eyes open if you are a D23 member. Um, they are starting to host what is called Walt Disney's Los Angeles. Now, you guys may
Oh,
remember me covering a bus tour that we did with not Walt, Bob Gurr. Bob Gurr's, and he called it Waltland. And it's literally this, like they're just ripping off, like realizing that they're doing something cool over with Bob Gurr. And so now Disney's doing their own. And of course, they plussed it because you can go into a lot of the things, like go into the studios versus Bob Gurr's tour just kind of drives you by it, or you get to like go outside and he talks about his experience working there, but you can't go inside of it, right? So they like one it up. However, either one of them, if you guys are into that kind of stuff, highly recommend it. I can tell you already. It's just cool to be able to like see these historic landmarks of like Walt's journey of when he came to Los Angeles, right? And they kind of hit them all. It's like being on a tour bus for like, House of the Stars or whatever, but like they take
yeah.
you to all the
Like
Walt
in New York, they
spaces.
do the Sex in the City tour, which still runs to this day because you get
Yeah,
to
it's
see all
it's really
these
cool. We
landmarks.
get to go when on the tour, we got to go see like one of Walt's houses that he built with his brother. Like it's crazy. Like
Wow.
I'm sure they're gonna do the same. So Um, I'm sure, Disney and D23 do a great job at curating these events. So, I may not jump on this tour right away because I have done it twice already in a sense, but I do want to like compare the two for sure. So if anybody wants to go, let me know. I will be curious to hear how it is. Yeah.
That's interesting because it also reminds me of the original vision for California Adventure 2.0 when they built Buena Vista Street, and they said the new California Adventure DCA is supposed to be how Walt saw California
Mm-hmm.
and LA and Hollywood and all that. So it's kind of a bummer that we're seeing that go away at DCA, but at least Buena Vista Street is still there and Carthay Circle, which is kind of like the best part of it,
Right. True.
like atmospheric wise, is like going down that street.
Yeah.
All right, so D23, Walt Disney's Los Angeles 2025. D23 also announced something exciting, which is Destination D23, which is more or less the D23 Expo during the gap years. So a lot of fun announcements, some celebrity appearances. But neither you or I have ever went, and we've
I
always talked
know.
about we need to go to it.
I guess we're gonna have to now that you're living
But
there.
I can't wait. So that's or in Orlando, 2025, August 29th through 31st. And guess where it is? Coronado Springs. Perfect.
That's so crazy. We were just
We
there.
were just there. Perfect setup for this. They have all the ballrooms and different areas to hang out in, sports bar. It's definitely giving Anaheim Convention Center, but Disney.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I am excited for that. And perhaps we actually stay there during it too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
cool. Staycation for you.
Vacation. So that's August 29th, destination D23 in Orlando.
I'm gonna have to mark it on my calendar already.
Whoop, 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 whoop. All right. So now to wrap up this episode, we did talk a lot, especially during the movie theater segment, about sequels, movie sequels. So I came up with a fun little game about
Okay.
Disney sequels. And I'm just going to give sort of a brief description of what it is and see if A, you even remember that the sequel existed, and then B, try to guess what it is.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, this first one, um, in the sequel, the original voice actor for one of the main characters was replaced by the voice of Homer Simpson. Do you know yet? I'll keep adding
No.
more clues. Okay. In
What's
this
the
one,
voice of Homer Simpson? What's his name?
oh, I didn't write it down. I think it's Dan Castanella. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still didn't ring any bells.
No.
Okay, carry on.
And it was huge, huge shoes to fill. So he was set up for failure.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I have a
Um,
guess, but carry on.
the sequel was centered around the villain from the first movie, who had an ending in the first movie, but they found a way to bring him back for the
Okay.
sequel. Any guesses yet?
I think so. I'm gonna guess Aladdin.
Yes,
Ah,
Aladdin. Do you remember the full name of the movie?
Aladdin 2, Jafar's Revenge.
Very close. It's very chat GPT, right? Aladdin, The Return of Jafar.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like literally like a Star Wars movie.
Yep. And the genie came, I mean, the Jafar came back as the red genie, because remember they turned him into a genie in part
Yeah.
one, trapped him in a lamp. But the genie played by Robin Williams was replaced, and the
That's what gave it
voice,
away. You're like, he had huge shoes to fill, and that's the
huge shoes to
first thing I
fill.
think of as a genie.
And this was also direct to video sequel.
Ouch.
1994. I was a kid though. I got
It would
it.
have
I
been
rented it or
direct to
whatever.
Disney Plus.
It would have been these days. You're right. And the quality was very different. The quality was bad for some of these direct to videos, and they outsourced them somewhere else. And you could tell, like the face was off sometimes.
Oh.
Even as a kid, I remembered it looking weird, but I did watch it. Now there was also a third Aladdin direct to video sequel to follow up Return of Jafar. This one was called King of Thieves 2 years later in 1996. And it's where Aladdin discovers his long lost father and a group of thieves. So he kind of
Huh.
finds his finds out about like why he is the way he is.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so next sequel is the main character of the first original movie, which came out decades ago, long, long time ago, in this animated film that came out in 2003. They did the sequel, 2003. The main character now lives in a village with humans and misses his friends and family from the first
This,
one.
oh, this is Mowgli.
Yep. Yep. The Jungle Book 2. I don't think I watched this.
I didn't either.
2003. It seems like I wouldn't
Especially,
want to.
that's like the wrong era for us to be watching Disney
That's true.
sequels that
Yeah.
don't like hit, right?
Fair enough. And sometimes even if it's Disney official, it like taints the original story.
I know. It's
Don't
like,
ruin
stop
it.
it. Just leave it alone.
So this one, Mowgli now lives in the man village, misses Baloo and Bagheera, and then
Oh,
eventually returns to the wild. unaware that Shere Khan is waiting to seek his revenge.
Nice.
There you go.
That's scary.
Um, okay, here's another 2002. Some of these actually were released in theaters. I do remember. They are still direct to video quality, which is even worse. So this next one is also a sequel of a very classic animated film. This sequel came out in 2002. It's set during World War II, where one of the main characters, now daughter, this main character from the original is grown up, has a daughter, is kidnapped by the main villain of the franchise.
Ooh,
Ooh. The
World
daughter's name
War
was
Two.
was Jane.
It's not gonna be Tarzan.
Nothing to do with
No.
Tarzan.
Um, Shoot. No, I need something else to go with that.
Okay, I will say the grown-up character who is now a mother with the girl named Jane, this mother needs to be reminded in magic and believe in magic again, which is a key part in being able to save Jane.
Wait. I have to know what this is. We just talked about this movie recently, I think. The having to be reminded to believe in magic thing. That
Do you
like came
believe
up
in magic?
recently with something. Um, I did to believe in magic again. Shoot, this is gonna drive me crazy.
Woo!
It's
And
a
if
woman.
she can believe in magic again, she could actually travel to where Jane was taken.
No, I don't. I have nothing.
Return to Neverland. So
Oh,
Wendy's daughter gets kidnapped by Captain Hook, taken to Neverland, which is interesting. Now that I'm reading this, they kind of just ripped off Hook, which was not Disney, and that's kind of what happened in that one.
right. Pretty
Except
much.
it was Peter Pan that grew up and needed to remember. Um,
Wendy, darling.
Wendy Darling and Hook is such a good. That is a rare, really good creative sequel
Right.
to a classic, right? Story. So
So
good.
good. I'll still watch it like
Still, yep, it's
anytime.
good.
Yep.
Good cast: Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman.
Yep.
Um, all right, so this next one is a 1990 sequel. It actually did well in theaters, and it was a sequel to an animated film. And this
Okay.
one took the main characters. Oh God, how do I say it without spoiling it? It took them to a different continent than the original one, and that was kind of the premise.
Okay, so we have plural main characters. Is animated. I'm going to guess that they are not human. They're probably
Correct.
animals.
There's a mix, but the mains, the primaries, are animals.
I'm gonna guess something to do with Oliver and Company.
Ooh, no, thankfully I don't actually I have no idea. They might have made a sequel to that, but nope, it's not that one.
Animals. Fox and the Hound too.
Ooh, nope.
I don't know.
I'll add another clue. So this came out in 1990. I was not around when the original came out, and so I remember
Okay.
this one more. I don't think I've even watched this one in full, but I remember it and I know of it more than the original. Maybe good marketing when I was 8 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Kind of an adventure.
Adventure. No.
People need to be saved. Um, Beware of crocodiles.
Peter
Ooh.
Pan again?
No, I tried to do an accent, it didn't work. Um,
Australian?
yes,
Oh,
yes.
Rescuers Down Under.
Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And that one, I will say, from what I know about it, because it was 1990, this was before the crazy direct to video. Like that was a full on quality sequel,
Right,
like Frozen 2 or Ralph Breaks the
right.
Internet. Um, but
That was a
I
good
actually
one.
haven't seen the two Rescuers Down Under in
Oh,
full.
really?
Yeah.
I've seen both of them. I like them. Good
Bernard,
ones.
Miss Bianca. It says here they journeyed to Australian outback to save a young boy named Cody from a ruthless poacher intent on capturing a rare golden eagle. Huh.
I actually just watched it kind of recently. I don't remember with who or why, but or maybe it was just like on. Weird.
Very weird. Okay, so here's another one that they probably shouldn't even have touched the story to begin with when they made the original, but they still made a sequel and just a few years after the original. So this was 1998 direct to video sequel animated film based on a true story. They decided to create a sequel to tell a little bit more about the true story. And in pure Disney fashion, both movies really romanticized the story and didn't tell the full truth.
Oof. Okay. Start that over again. When did it come out?
The sequel came out in 1998,
98.
and both the sequel and the original animated film are both based on a true story,
Man.
which I don't think honestly they could release today.
Oh.
and
Not PC, huh?
and it's a good movie. The music is great. It's too hard these days to touch a true story and try to Disneyfy it without telling the
Very
horrible
true.
parts of it.
I have no idea.
I will say it's very related to last week, holidays last week.
Thanksgiving. I was like, what happened last week? Oh yeah, Thanksgiving. Um, what? True story about Thanksgiving? Animated.
And not
Wow, I
necessarily Thanksgiving, but if you think about what Thanksgiving is about.
I've still nothing.
Um, I'll give you one major clue that is so deep cut that nobody listening is going to know it, but at least it'll get you to the answer.
How's that gonna
Lohinia.
get me to the answer?
Lohinia.
Oh, Pocahontas too.
Pocahontas 2 Journey to a New World. So, in this direct to video sequel, they took Pocahontas, they brought her to England, and she was meant to negotiate peace between her indigenous people and the British. And it's just like, what were they thinking? Like
You know
they
what's
can't do that.
sad is I forget that that's based on a true story because it's a Disney film. It's like kind of hard
Yikes.
to remember.
Wow. Yeah, the true story is really horrific and could be a deep dive
Right.
one day on comparing the two. But like when they brought her over, they bleached her skin. They kept bringing her back from England to America several times, and each boat ride she would get like a new Oregon Trail style disease.
God.
It was awful, and there was no
And John
singing.
Smith was like 10 years older than her at least or
Yeah,
something, right? When she was like super young still.
yep.
Yikes.
So, yep, that was Pocahontas too. Journey to a New World, direct
Whew.
to
All right.
video.
Made it
What a
through that one.
time. There's a fun one that I have next that is what is called a midquel. A
Okay.
midquel. And it was released in 2004, direct to video. This one did do well in terms of making money on buying those videotapes, maybe DVDs. I don't know. This was 2004, kind of both. But it was a expansion of a montage that took place in the original movie for like maybe 5-10 minutes, and they made a whole movie out of that. And
That sounds
the
really cool, but
really cool. The two characters were in the sequel that were based the main characters of the sequel were some of the two favorite characters of the original movie, even if they weren't the main character.
ah,
They are a pals, they're best buddies, and they're pretty funny.
I want to say Toy Story 2 right off the bat, but it's not it.
Not it. Midquel.
Pals.
It has a character that is very gassy, likes to fart.
Oh, Lion King too.
The Lion King 1.5 is
Oh,
what they
that's
called
right.
it. Yeah, very cute.
Is that why they
Um,
called it 1.5? Because it was about a montage only?
yeah, it's a midquel. So everything that took place in their paradise place in Lion King. That's they added more. They showed what else happened there.
Ah, okay. I
Um,
never saw it.
One and a half. I haven't seen it either. Whoops. 2004. There again, it was the
I was
age
at
we were not.
raves. I
We're
wasn't
not.
watching anything at home.
We're not looking for that. Oh God, there's so many, but the episode is coming to an end. But I will put one more out there because this one I did see, and just because it was so cute. So this one is about the main title character's child from the
Okay.
original. It's a very old classic Disney animated film. And the sequel came out in 2001, direct to video DVD. And the story took place, it was revolved around their son.
I feel like this is a Sleeping Beauty
Ooh.
sequel
It is not. I will
or
say
Cinderella.
it is non-human.
Oh, Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp 2 Scamp's Adventure.
How cute.
Now, the character design of Scamp is and still is adorable, which is why I remember watching
Aw,
it. I don't remember the movie at all. I just remember watching it and thinking, "Oh my God, so cute."
very
Um,
cute.
but yeah, so sequels have always been there. They just sometimes have less investment behind it or different ways to release it. But it looks like Disney and Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars. They're in the sequel game right now as we speak, producing big budget, full on theatrical releases, and they're doing well. So I think we will continue to see that.
Yeah, and save your notes on this game so we could play more of these sequels later because evidently it's gonna keep going on. So,
It's fascinating. And I had like 15 other ones from the past. So there's
oh my gosh,
plenty to
great.
talk about. But today we had some fun with this miscellany episode. We talked about our personal updates moving to Orange County on both coasts. We talked about box office records being broken and what that means for movie theaters. And then also some of the interesting things coming in 2025, like Steamboat Willie, Screamboat, scary movie directors from Terrifier 2, and Destination D23 and D23's Walt Disney's Los Angeles, all coming in 2025.
Yes, and thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed episode 218 of the Disneyholics Show.
Follow us on social media at the Disneyholics.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us, send us a DM on Instagram or contact us at thedisneyholics.com.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
bye.